You are Locked On Knicks POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports New York on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Knicks finally returned home to the Garden, and what a night it turned out to be against the visiting Chicago Bulls. Chicago escapes with the win, but it was close. Final score, get this, 124-123 in favor of Chicago, but the Knicks erased a 22-point third-quarter deficit. In fact, they took the lead early in the fourth, but a late three-point attempt from Colby White turned into three made free throws after a Josh Hart foul behind the arc proved to be a killer. From 2 down to 1 up for the Bulls on one play. He would hit all three free throws. And the bottom line is the Knicks lose a heartbreaker. Again, down 22 at one point, up 3 at one point. They lose by 1 on 3 made free throws. All right, hello, everybody. I'm Jay Berman. If you're a New Yorker, you might recognize my work. If not, welcome aboard. I've spent more than 2 decades in the biz, everything from TV to web to radio. You can follow me on X at Jay Berman. That's Jayberman. Welcome to the Locked On Knicks postcast, both on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel and the Locked On Knicks podcast feed. The postcast gives you a place to hang out after every single Knicks game. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We'll chat everything Karl-Anthony Towns, who pumped in a game-high 46, and he's proved to be a very valuable Knick. He was brilliant. Jalen Brunson hit the shot to give the Knicks the lead late, but his shot to win it at the buzzer, down and out. Again, a heartbreaking loss after the miraculous comeback. All that coming up on the postcast. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Knicks Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. And what a newsletter it'll be tomorrow morning after a gut punch of a loss. Knicks at one point trailed by 22 late in the third quarter. In fact, with 4 minutes to play in the third stanza, they were down 22. But a 17-0 run to finish the third, cut it to 5. The Knicks would go on a mini run to start the fourth, take a 3-point lead. So essentially a 25-point turnaround. However, the Bulls weren't dead, and Zach LaVine specifically. LaVine pumped in 31 in the win for Chicago. He was 12 of 17 from the floor, also had 7 rebounds and 8 assists, a complete game there from Zach LaVine. As we said, Josh Hart, who's been so good for the Knicks, Hart had just 6 points on the night. However, it was his foul, or at least what appeared to be a foul, on the 3-point attempt by Colby White with under a minute to play, and it proved to be the difference. He makes all 3 free throws after the foul from Hart. And what's interesting about that moment in time is an early challenge used by Tom Thibodeau, and a challenge that failed early in the first quarter. In fact, it just goes to show these coaches get overzealous with their challenge calls. Well, anyways, Thibodeau did not have a chance to challenge the call. Not sure it would have been overturned, but at the very least, the Knicks would have had a chance to at least challenge it. You never know at that point in time. And, of course, they didn't have that opportunity, and Colby White hit all 3 free throws, did not touch the rim on any of them. As for Karl-Anthony Towns, he played 39 minutes, 18 of 30 from the floor, 6 3-pointers, 10 rebounds, pumped in 46 a season high 46, and obviously a high as a Knick. The Knicks trailed by 12 at the half. Jalen Brunson had 18 points in the first half. He finished with just 24. If it was 26 and that shot went down, it would have been a complete comeback. Instead, it's a kick to the stomach. Bulls again beat the Knicks 124-123. It was just the fourth home game of the season for the Knicks. They're now 2-2 at home, 5-6 overall. They just can't seem to get over the 500 mark. They did at 3-2 when they beat the Pistons in Detroit. Again, that got them to 3-2, but they have not been over 500 since. All right, as we look into the numbers, as we said, 46 for Karl-Anthony Towns, and we'll have to talk about the minutes tonight because obviously plenty of minutes from the Knicks starters. All right, 46 for Karl-Anthony Towns, also grabbed 10 rebounds and 3 assists and 3 steals. OG Anunoby, a minus 20 tonight. Obviously, we highlight the plus minus every single night, and he was not good. He had 14 points, did OG, just 5 of 14 from the floor. Brunson was 9 of 20 from the floor. The Knicks were not great, again, from the floor. Mikal Bridges, 8 of 15. OG, 5 of 14. We'll leave out Karl-Anthony Towns, who we said was 18 of 30. Brunson, 9 of 20. Josh Hart just 3 of 6. Hart didn't score his first basket until 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter, right in the midst of that run, that 17-0 run to finish the third quarter. But again, the Knicks, who were basically mailing it in for 2.5 quarters, body language bad, shot selection bad, defensive effort bad. And then suddenly things changed. Things absolutely changed in the third quarter with roughly 4 minutes to play, when at that point, a 22-point deficit, somehow things got changed. We'll talk about Tibbs, who had his team down 12 at the half, and you figured the Knicks would regroup, make adjustments. No, in fact, the Bulls went on a run to start the third quarter to get the lead all the way up to 22. And you're thinking, what could the message have possibly been in the locker room, down 12 at the break, to have the Bulls go on a 10-point run? What was the message? Was there a message? Was there any dialogue in the locker room post first half? Well, there certainly was late in the third quarter when the Knicks finally turned things on. As we said, a 17-0 run to finish the third quarter. They trailed by 22 points with 4 minutes to play in the third. They cut it all the way down to 5, would eventually take the lead by 3, but that's the biggest lead they would have, as the Bulls did not lie down. And what a performance by Zach LaVine. As we said, he had 31. Colby White had 22. Vucevic had 19. Patrick Williams had 18. And again, the Bulls, despite the below 500 record at 5-7, are 4-3 away from Chicago. So again, a gut punch of a loss for the Knicks. As we do pretty much every night, we discuss plus minus. It's important. As we said, OG Anunoby was a minus 20. Deuce McBride was excellent again. And notice how he is the first man off the bench routinely. Deuce, 23 minutes, again, important minutes. Scored just 2 points, but was a plus 10. Obviously not a stat-filling kind of night for Deuce McBride, but an effective one. And he has been great, as was Cam Payne tonight. Payne did not miss a shot. Took 4 shots from the field, made 3 3-pointers and a deuce, pumped in 11 points, was a plus 11 in 17 minutes of time. And he also had 3 steals and a couple of assists. So again, Cameron Payne coming in there. And we discuss this every single night. The Knicks have shortened their bench, only 4 guys coming off the bench now. So the rotation is essentially 8 or 9 guys, which is going to be for the most part. Once Ochua comes back, once Mitchell Robinson comes back, guys like Matt Ryan and Jericho Sims and Cameron Payne are not going to see as many minutes. But again, We need to get Ochua back. We need to get Mitchell Robinson back. Finally got Cameron Payne back after a 4-game absence, and you can see how effective he could be for the Knicks. But again, not tonight. Did not come through tonight, as the Bulls, who had lost 5 out of 6 coming in, get a much-needed win against the Knicks, 124-123. All right, listen up, NFL fans. Now is your chance to start the season with a very big return. Yep, you can do it with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So here's what you do when you have a hunch in the middle of the game. Go over to FanDuel, check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more. The best part is it's all on the same page where you place your bets. Everything is right there for you. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Again, FanDuel.com. All right, 124-123. Knicks lose. They had a chance to win it. Jalen Brunson, a shot at the buzzer, around, down, up, and out. And the Knicks lose after being down by 22 late in the third quarter. As we said, the Knicks erased a 22-point deficit. In fact, it was a 25-point turnaround. They were up 3 after trailing by 22 and going on a 17-0 run. But, of course, the key foul by Josh Hart on Colby White, with just seconds remaining, it was a 3-point shot. So 3 free throws for White, nothing but net on the first and the second and the third. You guessed it. He hits all 3, gives the Bulls a 1-point lead. Knicks had 3.5 seconds to put up a shot to at least giving them themselves an attempt to win. Jalen Brunson gets a pretty good shot off on the baseline. And again, in, around, and out. All right, as for the Knicks' upcoming schedule, they have back-to-back games against the Brooklyn Nets starting Friday night and Sunday night at the Garden against Brooklyn. And it's actually 3 games and 4 nights. Friday, Sunday, Monday, the Knicks will host Washington. That's the finale of the 4-game homestand. And then it is out west for a brutal trip. It begins Wednesday in Phoenix. Then it's on to Utah, Denver, Dallas. And before we return home to New York, one for good measure, from Dallas to Charlotte. So again, Phoenix, Utah, Denver, Dallas, and Charlotte, the Knicks' longest road trip of the year before they finally return home again. But before we get there, we'll have to set up those 3 home games. Again, 2 against Brooklyn and 1 against Washington. Before we get there, we have to wrap up tonight's loss. And what an excruciating loss it was. Some positives. Obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns has been, as advertised, an absolute beast. I think you can clearly see now that Karl-Anthony Towns is a more valuable and, quite frankly, a better player than Julius Randle. Now, it also came at the expense of Donte DiVincenzo, but to get, you got to give, as the phrase goes, and that's exactly what the Knicks did. They could not hold on to Hartenstein. They made the trade for Bridges. They made the trade for Towns, and that came at the expense of 3 guys. Hartenstein, who left in free agency, and then obviously Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo. The Knicks replaced them with Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns. And as we said, Towns has been wonderful. 46 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, did have 5 fouls. In fact, could have been called for a 6th late. The play in which he banged his left knee turned out to be okay, but that actually could have been a foul on Karl-Anthony Towns. Lucky he wasn't, but he did have 5 fouls tonight. Mikal Bridges led everybody in minutes. He played 43 minutes and played pretty well. 8 of 15 from the floor, as we said. He had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. So a pretty good night from Mikal Bridges. As we said, Josh Hart played 34 minutes, took just 6 shots, made 3 of them, had 6 points. But of course, the key foul late on Colby White. White had 22. The plus-minus leader, Zach LaVine, was a plus 21. Of course, he put in a team high 31, as we said. 124-123, the Knicks lose to the Bulls in pretty much the game of the year. What really was, for the better part of 2.5 quarters, a dud, and then the better part of a quarter and a half, a memorable game, to say the very least. As we said, a couple of games with the Brooklyn Nets coming up. Brooklyn faced the Boston Celtics tonight, and the Celtics win it going away 139-114. So the Nets are now 5-7 coming in. By the way, real quick around the league, Cavs beat the Sixers in come from behind fashion, the Sixers that the Knicks beat last night. Anyway, Sixers fall to 2-9. The Cavaliers are now 13-0. They continue to just mash through the schedule. And again, the Cavaliers 13-0. By the way, the Celtics are now 10-3. As we said, the Brooklyn Nets, who have been good and bad, hot and cold. As we said, they're 5-7, perhaps better than some people had predicted. However, the very unique turn of the scheduling events, if you will, Friday against Brooklyn and then Sunday against Brooklyn, both night games, 7:30 Friday night, 7 on Sunday night, and then Monday against Washington before we hit the road again. Wednesday night in Phoenix, then Utah, Denver, Dallas, and Charlotte before we finally return home. All right, as we said, plenty to discuss. We'll go through the box score and set you up for the coming days as the Knicks lose to the Bulls 124-123. All right, with big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. We've all had bad experiences with our mobile providers. How about complicated bills, fees, upcharges, etc.? Well, say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with a high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Of course, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Once again, that's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, which is the equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, 124-123, a brutal loss for the Knicks tonight. At one point, they trailed by 22 with 4.5 to play in the third quarter. Knicks would go on a 17-0 run, cut the lead down to 5. Into the fourth quarter, they would actually take a 3-point lead. They would go back and forth with the Bulls down to the final minute where Colby White, with the Bulls down 2, would line up a 3-pointer, wouldn't make it, but was fouled by Josh Hart, again, with just seconds remaining, 3.5 seconds remaining. What does Colby White do? Proceeds to hit all 3 free throws in style, nothing but net on all 3. Hart, exasperated, crushed, confused, all of the above. All 3 free throws go down. Jalen Brunson has a shot to win it at the buzzer. As we said, down, around, back up, and out. An absolutely killer way to lose. And the Bulls get out of Dodge with that 1-point win. Again, 124-123. As we said, the Knicks face the Brooklyn Nets twice in a row. Very unique scheduling, both at Madison Square Garden, Friday night and Sunday night, then Monday night against Washington at the Garden. And then, as we said, it's off to the West Coast, Phoenix, Utah, Denver, Dallas, and then Charlotte before we return home to New York. Karl-Anthony Towns was excellent once again, 46 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Nailed 6 3-pointers, was 18 of 30, and everything you wanted Karl-Anthony Towns to be, he is. Simply put, he's the best Knicks offensive player. Perhaps the most valuable Knicks player is Jalen Brunson, despite the fact that he struggled of late. But the best offensive option, the best offensive player on the Knicks, hands down, is Karl-Anthony Towns. Again, 46, 10, 3, and 3. All right, we talked about the message Tom Thibodeau did or didn't send at the half. We told you the Knicks were down 12. That ballooned to 22 in the first half of the third quarter. And again, the first thing in my head at that point in time was, what was the message at the half? From 12 to 22 in a matter of moments. Tibbs, come back to me. Well, Tibbs did his in-game adjustments in-game, middle of the third quarter. That's exactly what he did. The switch was flipped, and the Knicks went on a run. As we said, a 17-0 run to finish the third quarter, then went on to take the lead before the Bulls would grab it back and eventually hang on. Again, 124-123 will be with you Friday night and Sunday night, and of course, Monday night, the next 3 home games, as the Knicks enjoy the next 3 games at home before that brutal 5-game West Coast swing, the longest road trip of the season for the Knicks. All right, that'll do it. Locked On Knicks Postcast. I'm Jay Berman. Again, the Knicks lose to the Bulls 124-123. We will see you Friday night.